You were just speaking at Nomad Base. So tell us a little bit about Nomad Base, what it is, and how did it go?
It's a digital nomads conference. This time it's 2 weeks, and I actually joined last year. That was my very first nomad community event. It was longer last year. It was three, and I really love this community because although it's a conference, it's not too overwhelming. There are usually 150 people, and you really get to connect with people either one on one or in a group setting, and you learn a lot. And I really like the organizers. They're pretty dedicated and then, helpful. So yeah, I mean, I last year actually I started my I would say community based digital nomad journey, and I accidentally got stuck in Morocco, and it was this very same community that helped me get back to Europe, and I'll never forget them. So yeah, went really well.
Okay, awesome. So tell us about getting stuck in Morocco. What happened?
Yeah, so if you're not from the EU, or if you don't have let's say, an American, Canadian, Australian, whatever, a Western passport, you need a visa to get into the Schengen zone, which I always get. So I didn't really look at the number of entries printed on the visa because I've always gotten a multi-entry visa before, which was usually issued by the Italian consulate. And last year, I happened to have gotten the visa from the Spain consulate, and they apparently do things a little bit differently. And they printed single entry, even though I applied for multiple
Oh,
entries.
no.
So I didn't really check. It was my fault. But apparently, when I exited Spain at the port, they also were a bit disorganized. So they don't really care what you have. So they don't really remind you. So, I exited without knowing that I couldn't come back. And I didn't even bring my anything, no phone charger, not much cash, no food, nothing. So I had a handbag. That's it. And when I was at the border police said, "You do realize you can't go back, right?" And I said, "No." And so, yeah, they didn't let me go. So I had to see the rest of my group leave. And then I was just left alone completely. But it was so amazing that the group was very, very helpful. One person gave me an apple. One person gave me €50 cash. Another person gave me a charger. So it's just one by one before they boarded the ship, not the ship, the ferry back. They just did whatever they could to help me. And after that, even when they went back to Spain, they offered me help remotely. So one person from the conference spoke really good Spanish. So she was able to reach the Spanish consulate after many, many calls. And I was able to, with her help, finally get into the consulate because you can't just go in, right? Like normally. And their booking system doesn't work. And I don't speak French or the Arabic. So it was very, a difficult situation. But through, like, with the help of the community, I was able to regain entry into the EU and got my suitcase delivered to me also. Yeah, it was very, very unusual experience, let's say.
Yeah, and those things happen when you're traveling, it's really easy to overlook something like that and then you
Yeah,
get stuck or you have some issues, but it's also great
absolutely.
to hear that you had fellow nomads like giving you a hand and helping you out because that seems to be always the case. We're all a team and helping each other out when things happen. I know a lot of people have gotten cut off from their money or whatever. I've done it. I've had it happen to me and had to borrow money from strangers and then wire it to them. And, it's always something. So it's nice that you were able to get that all figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Are you tired of trading your time for a paycheck and a job that drains your soul? What if I told you in as little as 30 days you could be working fully remote, whether that be a beach in Thailand or a mountainside cafe in Peru? Hi, I'm Ryan. I've been a digital nomad for over 8 years, working for 23 US states and 24 countries. Through my one-on-one coaching, I've helped countless people create a life of freedom through remote work. I've spent the past 9 months creating the ultimate step-by-step masterclass to help you go from being stuck in your 9 to 5 to fully remote. This isn't just a dream. This has worked for so many others and it can work for you too. Please click the button below, get instant access to the masterclass, and start living the life of your dreams today.
I think it's just incredible and extraordinary because these people don't really know me. Like they just met me a few days ago or a week ago. And I feel like normally, if you're living in a big city, it's pretty hard to get the kind of help that I received, right? Because in a big city, there's not really that much sense of community. and people all have their lives. So it's really very, very, very different. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Different vibes from the nomad community versus your typical city dwellers. Everyone has their guard up most of the time.
Yeah.
So take me back to the moment, time, or place that you knew that becoming a digital nomad was for you.
Yeah. So I think my story is not really typical because I think, a lot of people had this awakening moment that they want to become a digital nomad or they want to travel more. For me, it was accidental. I feel like my life is always, I don't know, there are a lot of dramatic moments. So yeah, I've always loved traveling and I did travel quite a bit before I became a nomad. But it wasn't until when I had real estate mishaps one after another, that I slowly started to realize I'm not really happy with a stationary home. So the turning point was when I was in LA and I was actually trying to run a furniture brand of my own. I was looking for a live work space where I could exhibit or show my furniture as well as live there because renting two places in LA is insane. So after many months of attempts at finding a place like that, I finally found one, only to discover in horror that it was actually not legally built and it had like a lot of toxic air issue. So I was
Oh
there
no.
physically for a few weeks and I felt really sick. And so much so I couldn't breathe one night and I had to run out in the middle of the night and gasping for breath, And I was panicking and then I put everything in my suitcase that I think I would need for the next few weeks. And I checked into a hotel and I called my mom. I said, "Hey, I ran out in the middle of the night. Am I crazy?" And she heard the situation. She's like, "No, you should leave because that doesn't sound safe, right?" So after that, I stayed in a hotel for a few nights and I thought, wait a minute, let's just leave like that, like let's just put everything in storage and see if I can travel for a few months, see how it goes. It doesn't feel that bad staying in a hotel. So yeah, and I left and I still have the same suitcase and eventually sold everything in the storage as well. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. So how long ago was that? How long have you been traveling now?
3 years. So I'd say, around 3 years. 3 years ago, it was just, something unplanned, but it turned out to be probably one of the best decisions of my life because it all makes sense now. Like I've always loved variety. I don't thrive in the same kind of routine. I mean, I do have some routines, but I need stimulation. And, just going to different places, I don't mean every day, but, every couple of months, it's kind of a really nice, both personally and creatively stimulant for me to make me feel, alive. So yeah, three
Yeah.
years.
And it sounds like you do the type of work you do might be creative as well. So switching up locations definitely helps. I know for me with the creative juices, just switching locations definitely helps. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how do you bring in the income to travel?
Yeah, so even before traveling full time, I've started my business. I'm a designer by trade. I've been a designer before for, I don't know, 10 plus years. And I had the opportunity to work at different companies, including really big ones. So I actually quit my job right before the pandemic. It was sort of a coincidence that I really, really wanted to do my own thing. And I felt really burnt out from the corporate world. So I had, yeah, basically dabbled into business in the last couple of years when I was still employed with a company, just because I've always known that I wanted to do something, right? So yeah, and it's a perfect fit for remote work, obviously, because everything is online and it is creative as well. Even though I don't do design as much these days, I have to come up with creative solutions for a lot of things because there's no textbook for entrepreneurship. So I consider that very creative, even if I'm not doing something like traditionally creative, if you will.
I gotcha. And so that's web design, right? That's what you're designing?
It's UI UX.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this episode useful, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. You can hear all the full episodes of Digital Nomad Nation wherever you listen to podcasts. Drop your key takeaway in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, you're only one bold decision away from a life full of freedom.